Outspent and largely ignored by her opponent, Washoe County Commissioner Alexis Hill is running for governor anyway, and she's betting that knocking on enough doors in Las Vegas can get her there by June 9th. Today on CityCast Las Vegas, we sit down with Hill to find out how she'd tackle Nevada's biggest issues. It's Wednesday, May 13th. I'm Jesse Merrick, and here's what Las Vegas is talking about. Hey, Alexis, thanks for joining us. How's it going?
I'm thrilled to be here. Thank you so much, Jesse. I love listening to you, and congrats on the new gig.
Hey, thank you so much. I've been settling into this new chair and really just trying to get used to it all. I'm excited for this one today. And one of the things that we're all very curious about here at CityCast is, you've been tagged as this underdog candidate in the Democratic primary for governor. Is that something that you're comfortable with?
I mean, listen, we've decided in America that we tell you that you're viable if you have so much money. And that's not what I think Americans actually want. It's not what the voters want. And when I connect with the voters, they actually appreciate a grassroots campaign that's not really beholden to special interests. But yes, I mean, hey, I'm not the establishment pick. And I think that's a good thing in today's day and age where folks really want to see a candidate who has their own ideas, who is running on an agenda for change. And this is the year. If there was going to be a year to do it, this is the year.
Obviously, too, you're somebody, that's been up in Washoe County, but you spent a lot of time in Las Vegas, over the last handful of months here. There is a longstanding rivalry, though, between Reno and Vegas. So I'm kind of curious, what would you want Vegas, voters to know about you rather than, that some that might be pigeonholing you as a northerner? How are you relating to them? What do you want them to know?
Well, it's been a joy, first of all, to connect with voters in Las Vegas. I have been in Las Vegas every week since I announced in September, and it has been wonderful to learn about the problems on the ground, the opportunities in the community, and the amazing community that folks have built in Las Vegas. And I think that what people are realizing, or maybe they should think about, is that the whole state of Nevada needs attention. The whole state of Nevada needs investment and needs someone who really wants to bring change and support everyday Nevadans. And just because I live in Washoe County and I represent that part of our state, that doesn't mean that I don't see that Las Vegas is not getting its fair share on the state level, and that you need the attention because you are a world-class city and you need a state that is modern and can deal with the issues that and opportunities that Las Vegas and Las Vegas residents deal with every day.
Yeah, no, and we have to be completely open and transparent about the fact that you are a listener to the podcast and one of our Las Vegas neighbors. Not the reason why we brought you on the show. We want to make sure and make that clear.
Sure.
But you're obviously listening and kind of tapped into the things that are going on down here. So I'm very curious, okay? If we're down in Las Vegas, you and me are hanging out, okay? What are we doing? Give us your insider tips. How are you experiencing Las Vegas? What's the plan?
Oh, I love that question. I mean, I'll tell you maybe a perfect Sunday in Las Vegas. Maybe we go to a great church in town. I've been to many different churches throughout the community. The Wealthy Place was the last church I just visited, and have a spiritual morning with community members. And then maybe we go to the Beverly to hit up a screening later. And potentially we can go to lunch at Finders and Makers or one of those community hotspots in downtown, and then hit up La Strega in Summerlin. Man, we're driving all over for dinner. I just went there for dinner the other night, and Chef Gina is a mastermind. But I'm heading all over the place. I mean, honestly, because of the campaign, I'm lucky if I can get one fun activity in. But I do try to make sure that I frequent local businesses, connect with people on the ground, hear what they're dealing with, and then also try to have a little fun while I'm in town.
Kind of diving into more though of like the meat and the nitty gritty of what it is that you're, campaigning on here. We want to talk about some of those issues, okay? And one of your main budget proposals is taxing billionaires and corporations to help create the revenue for the rest of your platform, all right? And obviously, look, that's easier said than done. We all know that, especially since tax increase in Nevada needs a 2/3, of the legislature there. So how would you go about kind of actually getting that through? Because it's no easy feat.
It's not an easy feat, but I think that it's really important that elected officials run on what they want to do and tell people how they want to do it. The only way that we can invest in K through 12 or higher education or our transportation systems or affordable housing or our healthcare system is if we have the money to invest in our communities. And right now, what we do in Nevada is we tax the individual. It's death by 1,000 cuts. So, when you register your vehicle, it hurts. We have a very expensive vehicle registration. We have very high sales tax. We have
I do
very
feel
high
the vehicle registration, yeah.
yeah, you do. Very high gas tax. And we're always hoping that the visitor will pay for the rest of our lifestyle. But honestly, knowing that visitation, it's always different every year. We can't always rely on outside economic forces, and we're feeling it as a state. Right now, you just had a really great podcast talking about what the future of gaming will look like, and how our properties are bouncing back and different parts of town and different parts of the state and how they're doing. So we really need a reliable revenue source in our state. And the things I'm proposing are things that other states have been doing, but it's also making sure that very wealthy people are paying their fair share. And right now, we love to tax the working person. We are taxed disproportionately. And so we need to make sure that we modernize our tax system. And that's looking at things like corporate ownership of homes, making sure that they are paying their fair share. We wonder why so many of these homes in Clark County are owned by corporations and hedge funds. It's because it's a deal. They're not paying high taxes to the state. They're actually paying depreciating property tax because of how backwards our property tax system is. And so it's making sure that they pay their fair share. And a lot of these giveaways that we've been doing at the Governor's Office of Economic Development, I don't think that they're necessarily serving this state. So we give 75% tax abatements to data centers. They're high energy, high water consumption uses. They don't need a subsidy from the state of Nevada. So I'm also talking about clawing back some of those tax incentives that aren't working for this state, or stopping them entirely, and doing some proper analysis and ensuring that we are transparent about how we spend your money. On data centers alone, we have given away $400 million of taxpayer money. So that's money that could be going into our schools, going into kids and seniors, and really supporting our quality of life on the ground. And then
I do want to jump in real quick.
Yes.
Excuse me. Sorry. Just with the, tax subsidies to major corporations and things like that. If we do take it away, how are we going to lure businesses to Nevada? Because that's obviously one of the ways that we've been able to do that.
Absolutely. And I think that it's finding a balance and making sure that we're luring the right kind of businesses here, and also supporting the businesses that are here. So as a balance to, having a good look at the Governor's Office of Economic Development and ensuring that we are investing in the right kinds of things, we also need to see how we can support our small businesses who are really struggling. I'm sure you talk to small businesses all the time, just when you're out and about, and making sure we're incentivizing that they hire people, that they can expand, that they can survive during this really difficult time. That needs to be a priority as well. And I'll tell you, it is really hard to lure businesses that have high incomes, that are careers, unless we educate our populace. And we are not doing that. We are 48th in per pupil funding, and that doesn't do any Nevadans favors. We are not preparing our kids for the careers of the future, and we've got to invest in them. And these companies are not as excited to come into a state that hasn't really invested in their people, hasn't invested in a safe way to get around. We have some of the most unsafe highways in the United States. These companies are looking for places where their employees can be successful, and I think that there's opportunity to make sure that we have a long-term plan to lure the best companies here.
Zenleaf Las Vegas is celebrating its 10-year anniversary with All In at 10 and 10 straight days of daily themed deals, in-store activations, and vendor pop-ups across all locations in Las Vegas. Visit Zenleaf Las Vegas between May 21st and May 30th to join the All In at 10 celebration. Customers can enjoy exclusive promotions and expect new surprises throughout. Plus, a portion of the proceeds from each day will support one of 10 local nonprofits and give back to the community as well. In-store shoppers can also pick up the 10-year anniversary playbook, which is a limited edition keepsake that unlocks rewards and prizes through purchases and activations. Zenleaf's Flamingo and Fort Apache locations offer deli-style flour, allowing customers to see and smell before it's weighed fresh. Drive-through pickup is available at Flamingo and Fort Apache, while North Las Vegas customers can take advantage of delivery directly from the Zenleaf team. And CityCast Las Vegas listeners can also unlock special in-store savings when they mention us or the newsletter. Zenleaf continues to make cannabis shopping approachable, engaging, and convenient for both new and experienced customers. Search Zenleaf Las Vegas online to find your nearest location and browse deals ahead of your visit.
Step into the movies with the Neon Museum's new movie tour in the heart of Las Vegas. Take a guided walk through real neon backdrops that have actually appeared in some of Hollywood's most memorable scenes over the decades. Your tour starts in the iconic La Concha Motel lobby, which is now the Neon Museum's visitor center, and a key setting in Scorsese's film Casino. Stand where Robert De Niro and Sharon Stone filmed their romantic evening as Ace and Ginger, and then wander the world-famous neon boneyard surrounded by vintage marquees and historic signs. Plus, you'll connect neon landmarks to films like Casablanca, Superman, and The Joe Louis Story. Relive the comedy of Vegas Vacation as you walk among signs tied to Chevy Chase's classic. You'll hear insider stories and fun trivia that bring these movie moments to life and capture unforgettable photos. So join fellow cinephiles on a one-of-a-kind tour that turns the Neon Museum into your own movie set. Check out the Neon Museum's new movie tour and discover how Las Vegas earned its reputation as the entertainment capital of the world through film.
I do want to circle back with some of the homeownership stuff. That personally hits home for me. I've been very open about that on the podcast, that I, became a homeowner back in 2021. So that's kind of, front of world for me right now. And I'm all about more and more people getting involved in that as well. I'd love to see other people be able to get in here, and had rates not been at where they were, I wouldn't be a homeowner. That helped me a ton. Like you said, though, about going after corporations and trying to, make it tougher, I guess, for them to buy these properties and things like that. How do you balance that with also the homeowner of increasing, property taxes for them and stuff? Because, again, as much as I want to get people into homes, I also don't want to be punished with my property taxes going up as well.
Yeah, and I think that we need to make sure that people stay stably housed. And that's why I think that the current system of not increasing your property tax more than 3% every year is a great system. We're keeping seniors stably housed. We're keeping working families stably housed. I'm not looking to change that. But we do have very wealthy people who are moving to this state, who are buying homes that are fully depreciated and paying way less in property tax than you probably paid for a newer home. And that is unfair. And that is a system that we are uniquely positioned in the United States for having that system.
So if that's the answer, I mean, it seems pretty straightforward. Why haven't others done it yet?
Because I have not seen in my entire time of living here, and I was born in Nevada, I have not seen any governor or leader run on this issue, because it is a scary issue for people to talk about. Mm-hmm. They don't, especially if you're a Democrat, which I'm a Democrat, you don't want to be labeled a tax and spend Democrat, but they're already going to label a Democrat that. So really, it's important that you have a good plan with ensuring that we're not taxing the working Nevadan, and that we're taxing billionaires and corporations, and that is what I'm running on. And talking to Nevadans, they know that our system is not working for them. They know that gaming pays higher taxes in other states, the same companies that are located here. They know that mining is an extractive business that does not pay its fair share either. We have got to bring all of these major corporations and businesses to the table and talk to them about the future of our state, because as the if we do not invest in Nevada, we are in trouble. We are in trouble today because you see that teachers are being surplus in schools. You see 40 kids in a kindergarten class. This is in Clark County. You see that our neighborhoods are suffering. Our getting to work is harder and harder. You're stuck in traffic. It's unsafe conditions, and people are struggling as well because even though the governor talks about how he's brought on more jobs than any other governor, these are jobs that people are not sustainable for people. They don't make enough money for people to live in this state. You have to have 3 jobs if you're making minimum wage in the state to even afford an apartment. So we've got to prepare Nevadans for the future, and especially during these economic times, we've got to make sure that when we invest in ourselves, we actually have more opportunity, because when you invest in yourself and you invest in transportation, you're getting good paying union jobs, which are and that are doing the construction on the roads, or you get really great trade jobs that are building homes, building hospitals. This is the type of economic investment that actually supports Nevadans and our quality of life and ensures that we are ready for the future, and that we can survive difficult times when visitation may not be as reliable as it was, especially right after COVID.
Well, we know Vegas is, in a housing crisis right now, and your platform, like you said, specifically revolves around reforming property taxes. The temporary rent freeze in there as well, cracking down on the big investment firms, buying up homes like we discussed a bit there. But is that enough? Like, can the state really just use tax policy to kind of work its way out of this problem? Like, what else needs to be done?
Oh, you need a plan to build housing and to invest in housing for Nevadans. So that's the other piece of this. Not only do you just ensure that you are using carrots and sticks when it comes to tax policy, but you need to also ensure that you're working with the local governments on the affordable housing tax fund, or the affordable housing fund that the state would have under my plan, and ensure that they are investing in that missing middle housing, in apartments, in condos, in duplexes, in fourplexes, to ensure that Nevadans have access to all sorts of different types of housing. It is so difficult, and I'm sure you can attest to this, to find affordable housing, because really what we have is 4 dwelling units to an acre all over the state. And so you don't have higher densities that will allow real people to buy a home and to start that investment and ensure that they are living that American dream. We've got to work with our local governments to ensure that, hey, if you're getting luxury housing on the ground, hey, that's that developers have a property right. I understand that. But you need to have a mix of different housing as well in these different developments. And if you don't want to do that, then you're paying towards the Affordable Housing Trust Fund. And so we actually in Northern Nevada, I am so proud of the work that we've done since I got elected, because we are the only county in the state who has actually increased the workforce housing in Nevada. And it's because we have been working together as a region and have made it a priority. And so I know under my leadership, we can do the same throughout the entire state.
To kind of bring things full circle, and look, in your time, as the Washoe County Commissioner, sitting in that chair, how do you think that would translate to, your role as a governor? What are the biggest things you could take away from that you think would help you in that role?
Well, when I ran for county commission, everyone said, the same thing they're actually saying while I've been running for governor, which is, who is this gal? And I was working at the city of Reno at the time, and they're like, she's not going to beat a 2-time incumbent, but the seat was being held by a Republican, and I flipped it by 10 points, and I didn't have the endorsements, didn't have the money, worked very hard to ensure that people knew who I was and why I was running. I ran on reforming our homeless services and pulling the community together to really get people housed in our community. And I think, in Washoe County, it's very similar to Clark County in that we are a purple county, and you never know where you're going to swing. And people will vote for Democrats and Republicans on the same ticket in the general election. And I think what my experience in Washoe County has shown is that I can work with Republicans and I can work with Democrats and I can get things done. And I think what we've seen by folks who have sat at the state for a long time in these positions is that they're disconnected with the issues on the ground, and they are only connecting with their donor base, and their donor base doesn't want to see any change. Their donor base is very happy with how things are going in Nevada, but real Nevadans have serious concerns about the future of their state and how difficult it is and how difficult it has become to live here. So I think that having that experience of knowing how to get things done and ensuring that I can work with all different kinds of people and that I have an understanding on how local government works, because the state is responsible for ensuring that we get out the money to the local governments to do the job on the ground. And we need to support our local governments as a county commissioner tackling the issues of our day: homelessness, housing, mental health care. I feel so alone. We're doing it alone. And just think if we had a governor who understood what the problem was and how they could support and was really integrated into each of our 17 counties. That's the way I want to govern.
I will give you credit for this. You're open to discussions, again, coming on this podcast and being poked and prodded with questions. And for the viewers, the listeners, everybody out there that wants to do the same thing, you actually do have an event coming up here where they will be able to debate you. It's tagged as the Public Debate Alexis event on Thursday, May 14th. The press release that's included in there says, with or without Ford. Why would that branding be there in the first place? About if Ford shows up, what's the deal there?
Well, I am one of the candidates running in the Democratic primary, and A.G. Ford is also running in the Democratic primary, and he has refused to debate me and answer the same questions that I am being asked in a live setting. Or even in a forum where we could be asked the same questions and people could decide, okay, I agree with this person on this, I agree with that person on that. That's really how we ensure that we can preserve democracy, is if we can have these discussions, especially having discussions within the Democratic Party, because then that person goes up against our sitting governor, and making sure that you have the best candidate who's properly positioned to run against our governor. And that's what I've been pushing is, hey, let's have a discussion with the people. Let's give them an opportunity to choose and see us next to each other. But even though he has refused to do that because I don't know, maybe he's scared, I am willing to sit down with the community and hear their questions and do rebuttals as well if they're not quite happy with my answer. I have been connecting with community in these town halls and forums and roundtables, and it's been a joy. And honestly, it's made me better. And I think that's what we want from our politicians, is for them to learn and for them to actually understand the issues a bit deeper. And the only way you do that is if you connect with people. And that's what I'm doing every day. And that's what I hope people will come out to at the Doyle on Thursday at 6 p.m. And it should be a great event.
In the meantime, Alexis, thank you so much, for your time. We really do appreciate it.
Thank you, Jesse. It's been a joy.
That's all for today here on CityCast Las Vegas. If you enjoyed the show, why not tell a friend? Rate the show, leave us a review, and subscribe to our free morning newsletter as well. And don't forget, you can support this show and get great perks by becoming a CityCast Las Vegas neighbor at membership.citycast.fm/Las Vegas. Just like our guest Alexis Hill, she's a neighbor of ours, and we are nonpartisan, so we do want to make note the fact that Aaron Ford and Governor Lombardo, if you're listening, you are welcome to join us as neighbors as well. We'll be back tomorrow morning with more news for you from around the city. Until then, though, take care.